gone. There's a time we went for a movie. There was I fought with the directors. There was a scene. I think it was my son. There was a scene that they wanted him to do, and he came to me. He's like, "No, I'm not going to do that. Is it they want me to step it?" It was something complicated. I went fighting. I'm like, my son is not going to do this. He's not okay doing this. Like, like, and it's something that they just brought in last minute. That's how sometimes these things, work. And I went fighting. I complained. I'm like, he's not going to shoot this. You either find somebody else, or you scrap out the scene. Like, he knows, I need to stand up for him. And also this whole working, because, part of me is being a mother. I know their children. I want them to enjoy their childhood. It's not just about work and making money. Also, to point this out, some people will be like, "Oh, she's using her kids for money." By the way, it's not the only thing I do. I charge for I do charge people who want me to buy them goods in China. I kind of work like an agent. I have people who call me. They're like, "Oh, help me look for this."
You
So
mentioned that. You have other
yes,
sources
I
of
mentioned that.
income. Yes,
Yes, I have other sources of income. So this is not my only source of income, but this is something, because with this, I also see it like as something with them. They get to know the experience. This could help them in the future. They also get to meet other people. They get to put themselves in other situations. Maybe now I'm a doctor. They get to know, oh, this is how, doctors are. Oh, now I'm in, I'm in this, I'm doing this. I need to get into this character.
Karibu. No way. Musibire muta. Mwasibye mutya. Amahoro. Agandi. Bible. Habari gani? Muraho. Sangonini. Kopango. Odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to She Center, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _She Center _podcast, and follow us on Facebook at the She Center Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. Hi guys, welcome back to yet another episode of She Center, the female podcast. I'm very happy to have you here. Thank you so much for all the patience with the last episode, guys. It was really tough. I'm so sorry about that. If you listen to the previous episode, the audio was a little bit off and there was some bit of background noise, but I am very grateful to the people who were able to give it a listen until the end, because I know it was a little bit, I really did my best. Trust me, it was worse than the way it sounded. But thank you once again for giving a safe space to the women on here to share their stories. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. And for the people who are following, liking, subscribing, guys, thank you so much. I just want to remind those of you who have not yet subscribed, guys, please, just subscribe. It doesn't hurt. Like, it takes nothing away from you. This is going to really help me to grow the She Center platform and be able to expand it and spread the gospel of female empowerment as much as possible. So please, guys, subscribe. Even if you're not on YouTube, you'd rarely go to YouTube, wherever you are, just subscribe, follow, like, share the episode. It will really go a long way in helping me. Yes, I'm very happy that the sun is out. I'm hoping to finish recording this intro. I just finished recording my guest for today, and the sun is all the way in the background. So I'm hoping that I can be able to get done with this before it reaches me. My guest today is a friend of mine. I went to school with her. Her name is Brenda Kogave. She is someone who I have enjoyed talking to. It was such an amazing conversation because I went to school with her in HSC. and we haven't like had that much contact apart from chatting on the phone on social media. When you see people's lives on social media, you feel like, oh, I know what's happening in this person's life. So I find her life very interesting because of what she does. And I was like, you know what, I want to find out, like, is this her purpose? Is there anything else that she's doing? Because Brenda is a manager. If you guys have watched the Kardashians, then you will know what I'm talking about. Brenda's kids are models, actresses, and actors. I don't know. She has, I think, 3 kids or something. Even the baby, the one she just had in 2020, is also already doing this. And Brenda takes us on the journey of how she became a manager. And it's really amazing. I had not seen the purpose in what she is doing per se, like to get the and like the behind the scenes conversation about it. It's really amazing to hear her journey. I now kind of understand Chris Jenner, the things that she's going through. Because I've always looked at Brenda posting her kids and the movies that they're doing, and I'm like, this must be fun. Can you imagine your child starting to make money when they're like 4 months old? Wow. I would definitely it's something I told her in the recording. I don't think I'll be able to do it. So it definitely needs to be your calling for you to be able to do that. And Brenda explains that her purpose is in helping other people, not just her children to be better people, but the people in her life. And that she shows us through the work that she has done with her children, how she got to do it, and how the children got to, start enjoying the life, the kinds of rules that she's set for her children when it comes to the entertainment world, when they're to take the gig, when they're not taking their gig, how she has been able to navigate this, and the people who she's helping along the way. Really, it has been an amazing conversation that we have had. It was so exciting and so fun. And if you listen until the end, you're going to hear more about how she manages to navigate to give that balance between knowing, okay, these are kids, I'm not going to let them do this and be used in the entertainment industry. So Brenda lives in China. I think I already said that. And so her kids are acting there. They're doing adverts, and it's really cool, man. It's amazing. It must be really interesting. We always see people's kids and you're like, so cool. But then I actually thought about it. I was like, I don't think I would do this job that Brenda is doing. It would be so stressful. But she does it with so much love and so much excitement. So you guys enjoy the episode. I know you're going to love it. So please share it, like it, subscribe to the podcast. Guys, please subscribe. Brenda, thank you so much for your time. I really had a fabulous time. I love you all, guys. Enjoy. Mwah. Hi,
Mm.
Brenda. How are you
Yes.
doing?
I'm okay, Resty. I hope you're fine too. Good to
I'm
be
good.
here.
Good to be here.
Mm.
I have to control myself today. The last time I hosted someone who is like an OG, my friend, I
Mm.
was mob jazzing the whole show, and someone called me and said, Risty, I felt like you were like too excited and you were talking too much through the whole show. So I need to
Mm.
remember that today because we haven't
I
caught up in such
know.
a long time. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited. I didn't even want to ask anything before because I'm very
Mm.
excited to find out what has been happening in your life and
I know.
besides what I see on social media. So I'm super, super excited to get to know your
Mm.
story right now.
Mm.
I know you've listened to some of my episodes. You better say yes. Otherwise, I've been
Of
sending you
course.
links.
Yes, I do. I do listen
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Mm.
So I'd like to start it out in the beginning because I know in many cases I always have a
Mm.
new listener coming with a different guest that I'm hosting.
Mm.
So I always
Mm.
like to re-echo that She Center is not just a podcast. Like I am really like into like empowering women. I feel like it's my calling.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like this is something that I need to do. And
Wow.
because of
Mm.
that, I am starting a platform, like a digital platform where we are going to have things that can cater to East African women and even
Mm.
women like you who are in the diaspora. Yeah.
Mm.
Because I have
Mm.
realized like being in Uganda as a young girl, there are so many things that I felt like were missing out
That's
that
true.
could
Mm.
have really made my life easier
Yeah.
if I knew how to use the internet back in the day.
Mm.
We
I
just used to go and
know.
check
I
Facebook and
know.
Instagram.
I
But
know. That's what.
these days, kids are very informed. Like people are finding
Yeah.
information online, and people are doing so many things. So I feel like there is
Yes.
need for for us to have that space as women where we can go and find most of the things that we need. But at the same time,
Mm.
having been a young girl who was raised by a parent who was living abroad, I also have that
Yes.
perspective of understanding what my mom was
Mm.
going through. Imagine you're sick, you
Mm.
don't know what's happening. Like, you just imagine now, like right now, raising your children. Imagine you were raising your children right now and they were in Uganda. They just
Yo,
call you and tell you,
I know.
they just tell
I
you
know.
to death your gas, and the whole day
I
you're just
know.
stressed. You're
And the
like, what's
whole day,
happening?
you can't even do anything. You're
Exactly.
under pressure.
Yes,
Mm.
yes. And then you want to buy your children shoes. You have to take your
Mm.
test, we used to draw the leg.
I know you draw the leg. By the way, till
You draw
now,
the
it's
leg.
something I do.
It's like it
Yes.
was a hassle. So I really want to have a
Yeah.
platform that caters to all these problems that I notice, because I'm
Wow.
talking to a lot of women who are living here, even me myself
Mm.
being here. Like, there's so many things I notice that
Mm.
even you, like, you would find that you're living in China, but
Mm.
you will never really be like part
Of
of there.
course.
So you
I
find that
know.
the information that you're seeking, the information that you need, you will find
Mm.
you're following bloggers or whatever it is, people who are from Uganda, because you feel
Yes.
like you
Yes.
want people who understand you, who understand like what you're going through. And so I
Mm.
felt the need to expound it to not just like,
Mm.
just messages, but especially the reason why I wanted to explain that the reason why I started the podcast is because it's very hard to explain some of the things that I want to do in, like,
Mm.
this is what I want to do. It might not make sense because what I
Mm.
want to
Yeah.
build is something that I believe does not exist yet. It does
Yeah.
exist in some areas of the
In
world,
some
but
areas, true. That's
not
true. Mm.
exactly as I envision it, to specialize it to what we are
Mm.
going through in Africa or in
Mm.
East Africa in particular. So I felt the
Mm.
need to, when you're going around explaining to people, this is what I want to do, people are like, mm-mm. It's like telling
I
people, so I'm
know.
going to build a
I
house
know.
here, it's going to have
I
like
know.
this,
They
and
don't
people are
see the
like, boss,
vision.
give up.
Yes.
Exactly. So I was like,
Mm.
you know what? Let me show people the need for this. So
The need
doing this
for
podcast,
this.
I started out by asking. I didn't even know the direction I was going. I just started asking people to share
Yes.
their stories, and people
Mm.
come
Mm.
onto the podcast and share, and someone is like, oh my god, I haven't like talked about this in such a long
Yes.
time,
I
I
know.
haven't gone through
Mm.
this in such a long time. And just to
Mm.
have that safe space where not only a woman can come and listen and see themselves in another
Mm.
person's
Mm.
story, but at the same
Mm.
time, you as a person who is telling your story, you get to, tell it and get it off your chest.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that's
that
true.
happened in the first season. And in the second season, I was like, you know what? I need to change some things up. So I kind of
Mm.
fell into this whole. I was reading a book at that moment called The Purpose
Mm.
Driven Life. And I was like, you know what? Maybe let me
Mm.
explore purpose, because everyone is in that
Papas.
space right now of
I
discovering what their
know.
purpose is and
Yeah,
all that stuff. So I was
that's
like,
true.
okay, I need to ask people to share, like, are they living in their purpose? Like, because purpose is a big
Mm.
word these days. Is it passion? Is it
Yeah.
purpose? Is it just a job? Are you
Mm.
just an influencer lying to us online? Like, what
Mm.
is
I
up
know.
exactly? What do we want to know? And while so many
Mm.
people might be out there trying to understand, like, what their purpose is,
Mm.
even me
Mm.
myself, when I started out, I would reach out to someone like you, and in my mind, I kind of have an idea what I think your purpose is, but then
Yes, I
I would be
know.
surprised. Someone would be like, "No, no, no, actually, that's something I'm doing on the side,"
That's
and
something
then other
true.
people are telling me like, "No, purpose is like really big. It's like not just one thing.
Mm.
I have my
Yeah.
purpose is in being a mother, being in a wife,
Mm.
being a this." So
Mm.
it's like a whole research topic, basically. I've
True, that
discovered
is
so
true. It's
much
wide.
that I
I
was like, this
know.
is so much data, this is so much information.
Mm.
So that's why I reached out to you, because I feel like not only the fact that I know, like, we know each other from school, I do
Mm.
understand like some bit of your past and what the life you're living right now because of
Mm.
what you're posting on social media, but
I
also
know.
it's unique. It's
Mm.
unique the fact that you're
Mm.
also living in a country where there's like I don't know anything about, like, apart from
True.
buying China everything,
Buy
I don't
things.
really know much about, I don't know really much
I
about
know.
like the life in China. So that's why I
Yeah.
invited you here to share with us your story, to tell
Wow.
us,
Mm.
are you living in your purpose? And the main question I will rephrase
Mm.
is, do you feel like you're living in your purpose right now? And how has your journey shaped this sense of purpose for you? So you can start out by introducing yourself to my listeners.
Okay.
And
Mm.
then from there, you can tell us whatever you want to tell us. I'll just follow up from you.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello to everyone that's listening in, watching from wherever you are. My name is Brenda. Though in China, most people call me Brie because they couldn't pronounce the name
Bread.
Brenda. Yeah, they
Really?
would call
Is
me
that easiest?
Bulanda. That's my Chinese name is Bulanda. You can
Wow.
imagine. Yes, but it was also like a hassle to come to it. Yes, my name is
Mm,
Brenda Kogabe.
mm,
I live in China. I've been in China, I think it's now coming to 6 years. Oh my God,
mm.
that's a long time.
I know.
Yes, it's now coming to 6 years. I
Yeah.
live here with my family.
Mm.
Yes, doing life,
Doing
living my
life.
purpose, doing
Okay.
my purpose. You asked
Good,
about
good.
purpose. And
Okay. Now
like
let's go
interesting.
into that
Yeah,
purpose.
what's funny is when I was watching, especially about purpose, when I'd listening to like some of the podcasts, it got me thinking because it's something that
Mm.
I'd never really like given attention to it,
Yes,
to
yes.
figure out what my purpose is. I was just
Mm,
living. So,
mm.
like I'm really grateful for what you're doing. Like it's something like I
Thank you.
had to reflect, on myself. I'm
Mm.
like, okay, what's my purpose right now?
Yes,
And
yes, yes. I
purposes
like
keep
that.
changing. We keep
Yes.
evolving. A few years
Mm-hmm,
ago,
mm-hmm.
it was something different. Even right now, it's
Yeah.
something different. And I know
True,
even
true,
years
true.
to come, it's going to be something
Mm-hmm.
else. Yes,
Yes.
so your question of am I living in my purpose? Yes, I do believe I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I'm in the future. Yes,
Nice. I
I'm
like
already in
that.
the future. You know how people
Mhm.
are like, say, let's say for the future, but I'm
Mhm.
now in my future. So
That's nice.
I believe that I'm living my purpose.
Mm.
And to be specific, maybe like somebody out there would be wondering, oh, what purpose is this? What are you talking
Mm.
about?
Yes, true,
For
true, true.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, personally, I believe right now my purpose is in being a woman, which
Mm.
being a woman is very many things. You're a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
you're a wife, you're a what. To me,
Mm-hmm.
like right
Mm-hmm.
now is being a mother, helping to
Mm.
nurture my children, and also people that are around
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
helping them with love, courage for them to become their better selves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, like currently, I think that is the direction that I'm
Mm-hmm.
in right now.
Mm.
Yes,
Okay.
so yeah. What was the second?
So
Sorry,
the
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 second.
other part of the question was, how
Yes.
has your journey shaped this sense of purpose for you? But I think based on what you have
Mm,
shared, I think it would be interesting to find out,
yeah,
when did you realize that this is your purpose? Was it like
exactly.
recently? Is it something
Mm,
that you have sought after? Like, have you been there saying, "Eh, purpose, what do you want
mm,
to like?" Or
I
is it something that
know.
you recently realized and said, "Actually, this is where I'm supposed to be."
Mm, yes. So for me to answer that question,
Mm,
realizing if how my purpose came about, it's actually an interesting story. I think it's
mm,
something I came to get into after moving to China.
mm-hmm,
Because I
mm-hmm.
remember, as in Uganda, immediately after school, I got married, gave
Yeah.
birth, to my first, I gave birth to my son. Like, I didn't even know what to do. I was just moving with the flow.
Yes.
And, the good
Yeah.
thing of back home is I had family, like, I
Yeah.
had a nanny, things were easier. Then by the
Mm,
time I came to China, I had two children, my son and my daughter. My daughter was
mm,
turning 2, then my
mm,
son. So when I came here, the first days were, okay. Then I got a job. I got a 9 to 5 job. A nine
mm-hmm,
to five. In the start, it was okay since I was new at the workplace.
mm,
We enrolled the kids into school.
mm-hmm,
So the thing is, the children would start school at 9 and
mm,
closing time was 4:30, though we were given an allowance of picking them by 5:10.
mm-hmm,
Now here
mm-hmm.
I am. I had a 9 to 5 job. I had to be at my
Oh.
work till 5. And the
Mm,
school was like 20 minutes away from work by
mm-hmm,
through walking. Then by
mm,
car, after work, usually it's traffic hours. So and by that
mm-hmm.
time the
Yes,
only
yes.
means of transport I knew was Didi, which is Uber. I didn't own an electric bike, or
You
even
call
I
it
didn't know
Didi.
about riding a bicycle. Yeah, we call it Didi here, Uber.
Nice.
Yes, I didn't own an electric, but those things, you've just moved into a country, like I couldn't really maneuver. So
Mm,
it got to a point where life was complicated. I'd be at
mm,
work, me at 5 immediately, I'm clocking out, like I'm running. Then I was
mm,
working in the international trade market. I was working in the market. So
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
I was dealing with foreign customers who speak English and French.
mm,
Meanwhile, the
mm.
French, I was learning it on job. I like, okay,
Are you
guys,
not supposed to
we
put in
need
your
to.
CV that you speak French?
Yes, I put on my CV that I speak French because I needed to get the job. And most of the customers by then that were coming to China were French speaking people, from the French-speaking countries. So I'm like, me, I speak French. Now I'd be at work, Googling, learning some words, like how to earn good quality
Funny.
money. I had to learn money, how to count money in
That's
French,
it. That's
hustling.
interesting. That's
I
interesting.
know, I was in a hustle. By the way, let me first say something. Forgive my voice. I got a cold, so in case
No,
it's
it's
hoarse
okay. No
or
problem. No
yes.
problem.
So yeah, to get back to how I got to know about my purpose, it became so hard because at 5 immediately, me, I'm running to pick the kids from school because I would actually run, not walk. I would run so that it takes me 10 minutes. By 5:10, I'm at the gate. And they used to
Oh,
be like the last. And imagine it was so hard because they were the only black kids and the only foreign school kids in the
you are
school,
not
in a
representing us
Chinese
well.
school.
You are not
I
representing
wasn't.
us well.
They would be the last. The teachers are waiting.
We
Everybody
already
is
late.
home.
We already expected to be the latecomers, and then you
I
do it.
know the latecomers. Then
Yes.
it reached a point where, and also where I wasn't doing a good job because with customers, you're still working on a customer. It's 5. You're still making an order. I'm like, bye. I'm leaving.
Oh
And then
wow.
it got to a point where the people I was working for, they owned a factory. I think I should say I was doing a good job where they trusted me in the business. They would leave me in the shop and travel, like they travel to the factory or they go to do their own other things. So this was actually hard because I have to lock up. Sometimes you have to lock up, but there are people still placing orders. So like there
Wow.
is nowhere to escape, there is nowhere to run away. Then it actually kept getting worse where in a month I had only 2 days off. In a
What?
month. Yes, I had only previously I had like 1 day off in a week. So I would take Sunday off. And what I would do is during the weekends, the children would go with their dad and work with him because for him, his business, what he was doing was kind of flexible at that time, but he would leave work much later than me. So I reached a point where I had just 2 days off in a week. It was so hard. I was so stressed. Like I was like a zombie, like a robot. I just move. Imagine I'm running to pick the kids from school. We are going home. We are going to make dinner. I didn't even have time to do things like batch cooking. Or I had no time for myself, no time for family,
Yeah.
nothing.
Wow.
Then I remember when then I conceived my third baby. So when I conceived, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't handle work and like everything. Actually, I think I was so stressed. I started falling sick. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I told my husband, I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I think I'm going to leave that job and try and find myself. I'd actually lost myself. Like, I was so stressed. And the things of being abroad, I couldn't afford a nanny. The salary I was earning per month was the amount of salary I had to pay a nanny to get
What?
a Chinese nanny. So that means, when I calculated, I'm like, no, like, let me just go with the flow. Let me do what I've been doing. Running, doing what I was like a zombie. Sometimes I reach work. Remember work, I've said I speak French. I'm trying to learn French. I'm also trying to learn Chinese. I'm also, like it was too much.
Yes, that sounds
It
too
was,
much.
yeah, it was too much. Thank God, like when I told my hubby, he was like, you know what, it's okay. I've also seen how you've been stressing, like quit the job. Like, I've got you, like, we can figure out how to go by
Yeah.
it, or maybe you need like to take some time off. So I quit that job. I think it was I was like 2 months pregnant. That's when I quit that job. Now, along that time, if you've been this person who is used to, I'm going to work, I can earn my money, like I don't have to depend on a
Babe,
man. Yes, I have to do my own
some
things.
money.
Ah, that is so stressing. So I remember
Yes.
that time, part of my job, some of the things I used to do is I used to run the company's website. And on running the website, I would make videos. By then, they were not open to things like YouTube or to market business. So for them, they had a
Yes.
website. So I was like, should I open up a YouTube channel since I'm not doing anything? I can record myself. I go to the market. I actually opened up one. But the pregnancy was not easy.
I can
I hated
imagine.
I reached a point where I hated the camera. I hated walking. I would stay in the house. Like the children would go home. Like my hubby would go with the children when he's going to work. He would drop them at school. Me, I would stay in bed. Then I wake up at 4, been in bed the whole day. Prepare myself, go pick them, and come. Like my day would start at 4.
Wow.
So anyway, fast forward. I learned, I started doing a few things like my son had dreadlocks. I had to learn how to relock his hair. I remember my hub used to like chop off his hair. I was like, you know what? From today onwards, you're going to grow your hair. I need to learn how to make looks. Maybe it's something I could
Practice.
do. Yes, I need to practice. And
Nice.
good enough is once I did this, when he would go to meet like, different people or his attract people would be like, oh, you got locks. Who does your hair? Then he would be like, oh, it's my wife that's making my hair. Then people would see my son. They're like, oh, how do you manage your hair? Or they would ask him, he's like, oh, my mom makes my hair. So I started
Nice.
getting people who were interested. They would come to the house. Like, okay, that's a bit of how I was managing at that time.
That's
And with this
nice.
time, yes, I learned how to bake. I'd be on YouTube. I'd be baking,
Mm,
cooking different things. Then my hubby was like, by the way, you can turn this into a business. You can start baking. No one bakes like African Chinese cakes, by the way, are like full of cream. They're not like
mm,
the taste that we are used to. So I started like a business there. I'd bake for people. I didn't even know how to decorate. I'll just decorate. I'm like, me, I'm a pro. I'll do everything. I'd be on YouTube the whole night.
learning.
The
That's called
whole
the
night
hustle.
learning. I even met losses because I'm learning. Learning, doing what? And then, thankfully, well, I used to work in the market. Now, this was coming towards COVID time,
Mm,
2020, because I gave birth to my daughter in 2020. People could
mm,
not travel to China.
mm,
So I'd have like customers who are like, oh, are you still in China? Can you help me? I need to buy these things. I can't come. So I
mm,
became
mm.
something like an agent. Then
That's
along
nice.
the way, while I'm still
Mm.
discovering, like I'm still finding out what to do. Remember this
Yes.
business, if you lock somebody's hair, they're going to spend like 6 months without doing
Mm,
anything, dreadlocks.
mm,
Then
mm.
cakes, obviously my cakes were not the best in design, but birthday party, how many times do you celebrate a birthday?
Yes. Yeah.
Once, once in a year.
Mm,
So
mm.
along the way, now because I had time to myself, I like got a community of different ladies who are like mothers. Like I got to socialize, which was actually a good thing. I
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
socialize
With
because before I was like,
Africans or with other
yeah, I
international?
met other Africans and also international people. I remember there was like a church I would go to. Then we got to socialize. Now along the way, one of the ladies, she was from Ukraine. She left China. Now she's in Canada. She would be like, "Oh, Brie, you have very beautiful children. They could actually be models. Eh? They could do the models and what? Your son has hair. He looks like a movie star." That's what she would
Mm,
say. And I'm like, okay, but I was so open to it. As you said, Africa,
mm.
when you're from Africa, back then, how are you a model? Eh?
Where ya? Where ya? Just want
Like
to be
where
on the
you're
street.
yes, on the street, when
Yes.
people would hear, but right now things are changing. They think you're going to be
Yes, they are.
naked.
Mm.
You're doing
Mm.
what? And now
True,
you're
true,
putting the
true. Yeah.
kids. I remember I even had
Yeah.
like my family, when the children started it, were not really, receptive towards it. So this
Yeah,
lady, then I'm
yeah.
like, okay, how does it work? She's like, oh yeah, I'll let you know. So I remember she would ask me for their photos. Me, I didn't know how it worked. Okay, she kind of helped me, but not so well. So what I did is I have a friend. She's from Cameroon. Like we
Mm.
used to help each other out. We lived next to one another. Our houses were like a few blocks away. So I tell her
Mm.
about it now. Interestingly, when I was pregnant, she was also pregnant. We gave birth at the same time. So I
Mm.
tell
Mm.
her, oh, by the way, they've been telling me about this modeling things. Kids, what? Do some research. I'm also going to do some research. Maybe it's something we could like pick up.
Explore.
She was a teacher. Now, on her
Mm.
side, she was an English teacher, and it was so much stressful. You're pregnant, you're
Mm.
teaching. She had other children. Then,
Mm.
anyway, to cut the story short, this lady, now, this friend I told to do research about it,
Mm.
find somebody who gives her two contacts of two agents. So she
Mm.
sends me the contact. She's like, hey, these are agents. They can get us into this. And interestingly enough, is when she got to me, when I wrote to these agents, were like, oh, we are looking for a black baby girl, like 4 to 6 months. And by the time my daughter was 4 months, I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I have a baby. She's 4 months. She's like, oh, send me some photos. I sent her pictures. I was just taking my photos. I didn't even know what kind of photos to take. I think now, as I say, this was driving me, to my
Towards
purpose.
here, towards
So
here.
yes. So she's like, okay, I have some products. I can send them to you. If your baby likes them, she will come and shoot, to advertise, shoot for them. She sent me
Mm.
baby pacifiers. It was a kind of pacifier that you put on your hand. My baby didn't like the pacifier. I was like, you're going to like this pacifier whether you like it or
You're not
not.
going to play with money, eh?
You're not playing with money. And at that time, I was thinking about money, by the way, because I'm like, I'm not working. I went to school, all the things. I went to school, I graduated. Now I'm here, I'm hustling, and I came to work, but I'm not working. So I'm
You're
like,
not going to run this
I wasn't
business.
even really sure of how they pay, but I'm like, I think this is something. So I record a video, what I made her, like I joined, I called the whole family, I called the kids, I remember I called my husband, I called my sister, I'm like, you guys come and we cheer the baby, I want to make a video. Then later anyway, I sent the agent, I'm like, she loves it, it's nice, what and she confirmed me for the shooting, to go and when I say shooting,
That's
that means
funny.
to go and make the advert. So we travel. Guess what? She didn't even shoot the pacifier because she didn't like it. But what was good is that there were different other products. There were clothes, there were what. And when I was there, I'm like, oh, okay, this could work. Then, like everything, because they pay, like that's how it works. They pay for the whole trip, they pay for your accommodation, then they pay you. When they paid me, I got the money. I'm like, what? Like one day, I've made half of the salary I was
Salary I
earning.
used to make.
I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
this is it.
Managed in the making.
I have made it in life. This is what I'm
You have
sticking
become
to.
Kardashian, Chris Kardashian, whatever, Miss Brenda.
Yes, I'm like, this is it. I mean, my purpose. This is my
Yes, yes.
purpose. That's what I was
Mm,
thinking by then.
mm,
So, like, anyhow, like when I did this, then
mm,
surprisingly enough, 2 days later, another agent comes to me. They're like, oh, we are looking for a boy. And it was, I remember, I think my son was like 5 years, black boy, what? I'm like, oh, we are shooting toys. So she connects me to somebody, a lady from Israel. By the way, like this lady, this commotion that's going on in Israel, but this lady was so, she was so good. She was so kind. She calls me. She's like, oh, we are going for the same job. I could pick you up. We can drive my car. You don't have to use a train. So along the way, as we were going, this lady had been in China by then for 10 years. And
mm.
what she was doing, her kids were models. It was actually her job moving around with the children. So I'm like, how does it work? She's like, oh, don't worry. Like she told me, she coached me on how everything works. She's like, I have agents, I have groups, I have over 30 groups. I'm going to add you to them. She told me like how to make a model card. She gave me a contact, go to this studio, ask them for this, ask them for their clothes, something
Wow.
like that's how
Mm.
that journey began of, the kids. I know maybe you've seen some photos, what.
Yes,
That's
yes,
how
I
like
have.
their
Yeah.
journey began with this
Mm,
modeling. Before we knew it, we were into movies. Now, how this brings me to my purpose is I remember in the start when we started doing movies, the very
mm,
first movie we did, they wanted a girl and a boy to act as a brother and sister. And
mm,
at that time, my baby was still breastfeeding, my baby was like 5 months old. So they confirmed them for this job. And then the agent is like, oh, okay, you're coming with the two kids. Are you bringing somebody? Because in China, when you give birth, grandparents are going to be there. Like, they don't expect one parent to be, with one child. So they
mm,
were booking, I think they were booking for me, like, a ticket, my plane ticket. And they're
mm.
like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, I also have a baby. So if you're booking a room, like, it's going to be the four of us. And the agent is like, what? The four of you? Like, you're going to manage three kids alone on set? And I'm like, yes. Like, she didn't find it funny. So
Mm.
we go for that job. When we went on set, everyone was looking at me like a mad woman. They're like, what? For me, I'm alone. We are struggling, and you're here with three kids. How are you going to manage? Because like with a movie, you have to coach the children.
Yes,
Read
yes,
for them
yes.
their lines, tell them you're supposed to be like
Mhm.
this, and these are two. Then I also have a baby. They're like, what? Oh my God, you're so strong. Like, how are you doing this? How are you able to do this? And by
Yeah.
that movie, the set was so bad. It was in a village because it was something to do with, is it sick? Ebola, people are sick. Like, the place was not good. There were insects,
Wow.
what? So they're like, how are you able to do this now? These people who are like, how are you able to do this? They were complaining because they were like, the setting is so bad. We are here. They're not really taking care of us. Like, they're not giving us the attention or the care that. And now for you, you're here. They're like, if you can be here with your three kids, then I should stop complaining. Like I felt like
Okay,
it
I get
like
it
gave
now.
them
Like you are
courage,
rooting for them, they're
They're like,
complaining.
yes, they were complaining, and me, me as okay as Kawam, like the kids were enjoying. And you know what's interesting is I'd carry like a carrier, the carrier. I'd put the baby at the
Mhm,
front, then I'd have a backpack. Obviously, you have a baby, you have kids, I have snacks, diapers in the back. So I'd
mhm,
have
mhm.
somebody in front, then a back, then the other two on the side. Then I'm
Wow.
coaching this one. Oh, this is how your sins are. Let me read for you. This is it. Then I'm also on this one. It was tough, but it
Mm,
was manageable. And like how I talk about like helping people around me, not just my children but also people around me,
mhm,
this is
mhm,
something that was giving them like like encouraging them. They're like, oh, okay, if this lady can do it, with
mm.
her kids, that means I should
You
also
can
like,
also do it. Yeah,
yes,
true.
I can also
Mm,
do it. And then
mm,
also like when I'd go and said, most of the people are students. Like most of the people who
mm,
would go for these jobs would be like students, because they would go
mm.
to act like, and like, and let me not go into
Yeah.
details of what movies are. So they would be like,
Mm,
I'm doing this because I need pocket money. I'm so
mm.
broke. I can't keep asking money from home. And here I don't
Yeah.
really have a job, because the laws in China, if you have a student visa, you're not allowed to work.
Oh, wow.
If you have a spouse visa, like now in my visa, I'm not allowed to work. That means when I was working, it was illegal. It's illegal.
Really interesting.
Yes, you should have
Wow.
a working card or a working visa.
Mm,
Eh,
on your
what
own.
what? So yes, so as we'd be speaking, like like because the children are also doing like the other modeling on the side,
Mm,
I would keep meeting like other adult models, and sometimes you can look at somebody, you're like, oh, this one would be a model, because yeah, they go for like very dark skin, maybe you're small. So like some of
mm.
them would be like, by the way, besides the movies and shootings, how about you try the modeling? There are also adult
So you
models.
became
It's not
manager
hard.
of
You just
other people.
I became a manager. That is it. So they'll be like, what? How does it work? I see people, but no one really gives me information. Like people are not open, because the
Mm,
thing is in like the thing is in the industry. If there are very many people, that means they'll be taking
mm.
the jobs away from you. That's
Yes,
that's
yes,
how
yes,
some
yes.
people are assume it,
Mm, mm,
for it
mm.
to be.
Yeah.
So me, I'd be like, no, you can actually do. Me, I'm not a model, but my kids are. So what would happen is, now these people, because I'd be, like telling this to them, they would also become like friends. Like we built like a relationship,
Yeah,
and I would
yeah.
give them contacts. I'm like, I'm in over 30
Mm,
groups. I can add you, because sometimes, they post for adults, I can add you to
mm.
the groups. Like the information that the lady from Israel gave
Yeah,
me is the
you're passing on
information
that
I was
knowledge.
selling
Yes.
out. Yes, I was
Nice.
passing out. And I remember
Mm,
at some point there was a girl, I will say a girl, because she was a student, young girl. She's like, but how come you're giving us this information? Like
yeah,
most
for
times
free.
people
Yeah?
don't want to share. Yes, like people don't want to
Mm.
share. I've not done anything to you. It's our first time meeting. And I'm like,
Are you
we
trying to
have to
simp us?
build our son. Yeah. Sorry, yes. And for me, my response would always be, we have to empower each other. Now,
Yeah,
these people
that's
are all
nice.
Africans. I'm like, because if
Mm,
I'm good and you're good, that means
mm.
we are all
Yeah,
fine. If
yeah,
it's not
yeah.
good, if I'm the only one that is good, and for you,
Mm,
you're struggling.
yeah.
So this drove me, for them to become better at themselves, because some of the people that I would give this information would also go and share the information, maybe
With other
like to
people. Yeah.
somebody else you
Mm,
know
mm. Yeah.
so anyhow, like that's how we got to that. And also another thing is, when it comes to like parenting, because remember that time I was doing a 9 to 5. Now I was able to be with, to be a mother, to my children. I'm always with them,
Yes, and be with them.
disciplining them. Yes,
Mm,
like I was able to nurture them, or to groom them, the way I think I
yeah, yeah.
should, to instill, discipline, which I wouldn't have done
If you are at
if I
nine to
was
five.
busy. Yes,
Yeah,
if I was
yeah,
busy
yeah.
the way
Wow.
I was. And also
Mm,
this kind of extended to the fact that, like, currently right now, okay, like what's happening is that, like, now, just an example, like right now, I think last year my children went to a new school. So
mm,
when they go to this new school, they get added. They have phones. They get added to
mm,
like group chats, friend group chats.
mm,
So in the group chat, as they're chatting, one of the friends says a bad word. We said a bad word, says the F word. So my son is
Mm-hmm.
like, Mommy, can you believe this girl said the F word in the group? That is so wrong, That is so wrong. So he goes to the group chat, he's like, what you said is so bad. If you're saying such words, you're not going to be my friend again. You're not going to be my friend again. I'll not talk to you again. No, this is
Wow.
wrong. Then, then somebody side buzz him, like, sends him a message. And the other friend is like, yes, that girl is always telling us bad words. I don't even know how to defend myself. She's always insulting us. So he comes to the group and he's like, guys, I'm setting up rules for the group. No saying
Wow.
bad words, no bullying,
Wow.
no
At
doing this.
how old is
He's
this at this
10.
age?
He's 10. He's 10.
Wow. That is a
Yes, he
leader
goes to
right
the group.
there.
Yeah, a leader right there, now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, we've been nurturing. And also, it's something he's extending to other
Yes.
people. The other children are also learning from it. They're like, oh, that's a bad word. Okay, I won't say that again. The girl apologizes. Now they are friends. The girl apologizes. So, this
Nice.
brings me back to my purpose. That's my purpose. Yes, I'm being a
Yeah.
mother to
You're
not just
nurturing,
my
yes,
children. Yeah,
to
not
other
just my
people.
children,
Yeah.
but also other children and also other people. I'm
Wow.
extending the,
Yeah.
extending the purpose. Should I say that? Yes. Extending, like, those are just, I can go on and on,
Oh my God,
with
I've
a
enjoyed this. This is so
different.
amazing. I love the journey that you've explained because it's what you're explaining. It's like, for instance, like when I came here, there are people who are like business minded. I was just watching a YouTube, is it TikTok the other day, and there's this young girl who just came on. There's a new visa that was just introduced here. It's called
Yeah.
Opportunity Card. It's like a green card of America, but here you get a visa. And Bambi, people don't call me in case you're listening to this.
They'll call you, they
I
need
will
the
send them
info.
the link of that girl. Anyways, what I wanted to say is like this girl just moved here like a year ago. So she posts content about, she's from Nigeria. She posts content about like her move here and how she came and all those
Yeah.
things. So I was hearing her talking about how uh, if guys, if you want to come, we can add you to the group chat. Because of all the work that we are doing, we are going to charge you money to be added into the group chat. You get, like, there are
Wow.
people who
Imagine.
their help, which is not bad, because man,
Yeah.
if you're putting in all the effort,
I
why
know.
not?
I know.
Yes. I was
Mm.
like, you mean I should have been charging people for, because me, I'm already giving my
Yes.
information for free.
I know, for the information. True. I know.
One friend of mine had literally just moved here, not even one
Mm.
semester. And she was telling me, because she was telling me, yeah, she was like, you're helping people for free. Me, someone called me and I told them, dude, whether you get accepted or not, I'm going to charge you money because I'm putting in my
Wow.
time. And
I'm
she
putting,
helped her,
yes.
she helped them apply for the job. They paid her money. And the person didn't even get admitted into the
Can you
university. So you can
imagine? Can
imagine
you imagine?
exactly.
That's brutal.
But that was, have you ever, I don't know if, okay, maybe because, like you said, like, I think what I'm alluding to is like, it explains if it's something that's your purpose. You do it so effortlessly, you don't really think about it.
Yes.
Because there are
You
some
don't
people
really
who are
that
just trying
easy.
to, like, to be, like, to get an opportunity from every situation.
Yeah.
And in the
Yes.
end, you
Yes.
might find that you lose what you're for. Like, for instance, if you had started that also as a business, you would have neglected the business of
Of
trying to
course.
make your kids excel in this new thing that you've just found, because you're trying to make money, and yet you also got this
Yeah.
information for free. But
Yes.
I
For
love that, and
free.
I think that's very inspiring to know, because, like, you see, because you're spending this much time with your children, they see you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
If your goal is to make money, they will see that, because they will see that you're not making them
Yes.
a priority. You're just seeing
Exactly.
opportunities in their situations, and then you're using them to, like, you know what? Now I'm making money here. Now
Yes.
you guys are just
I
another side
know.
gig. Exactly.
I
So
know
do
that
you?
that is true.
Yes. So do you find yourself in that situation sometimes? Or like, okay, because me, I know
Yes.
myself. I wanted to ask, for me personally, when I'm helping someone, sometimes I get carried away and like it's too much helping,
Yes.
where I
Yes.
get to a point where I'm like, but this guy is not even paid me money. Like, that
I
thing where you're like,
know.
I'm gonna
Now
go through
that is
all
a
this. I'm doing all
challenge.
the research for you.
Yes.
I'm doing all the application. like you, I was also helped by someone when I was applying for school here. But then when I came, I started to realize all these things. So when I find someone who's looking for school, it's like I go through this thing of I really want to help you because I know where you were before. Do you get to that point in your life where it interrupts your
Of
other
course.
activities, and how do you deal with this?
Yes, yes, it does. Actually, you've actually you've actually like there was something else I wanted to answer or what. Let me first respond to the one where maybe the children. There's a time when my children were in school. Then I reached a point where we had to homeschool them because they were so busy that they kept missing school, and it was too much. Like, I didn't know that it was also draining them, but thankfully, because of the communication, I'd keep asking them. I'm like, yes, okay. I reached a point where I stopped accepting jobs. Like now my son will be like, no, mommy, I'm so tired. Yesterday we were in Shanghai. The other day, now we are going to Guangzhou. Now tomorrow, is it we are going here? Then also my daughter is like, yes, now when you bring back Liam, now you're going to take me. There was a point where it was about money, because I'm like, I need to make the money. I need to make the money. We
Yes,
came to look for
yes.
greener pastures.
Yes, yeah,
So,
my friend, you
I
cannot go back the way you went.
yes,
Okay.
you can. Yes, I know. I'm like, now I've gotten opportunities. We're able to do all this. What are you talking about? We have to
Yes,
make the
yeah.
money. And they
Mm,
also knew that when we work, we are paid.
mm,
Because obviously,
mm.
when they pay, I have to buy them what do you want. I have to make them happy. I'm like, oh, you did a
Were you
good
giving them
job.
their
You
money
did.
or you were eating it? They will give you, they will
Oh
give you,
my
they'll
God,
ask you
don't
for their
start.
money in the future. It's like, mommy, you owe
I
me
know
this.
in the future our money, where is our
Mm,
money? They got saving
mm,
boxes. By the way, they would save. For them they
mm,
got saving
mm,
boxes, because I would say in the bank they're like, no, I want to put where I can see. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you a portion, you put in your box. So
mm,
anyhow, like there's a time where I feel like I got lost into it. I'm like, we are making the money, we are doing this. So
mm,
it was
mm,
also like
mm,
a toll on them. They were not going to school, they are now
mm,
homeschooled because
mm.
we can't manage, going to school. We were paying tuition for nothing. It
Yeah,
got so much when they started complaining. I'm like, yeah, I had to
yeah.
think through. I'm like, we need to calm
Mm,
down. We need to
mm,
tone down. So we
yeah.
would like, refuse, reject other jobs. I would be like, oh, they are busy, yet they are not busy. So that they're
Mm,
children, they need to
mm.
live their life. They need to enjoy being children.
Yeah,
And also,
yeah,
as you
yeah.
said, how, you can get taught, it happens. That's like a challenge, where you feel like, wouldn't I be charging? Am I over? And it's something that I face, not just even with the jobs, even like coming to China. I have
Mm,
people who contact me, they're like, oh, Uganda is hard. What can I do? And I'm like, these are the options here and here. Me personally, in my house, I've hosted like people, people who have
mm,
just moved to China. They
mm,
are still
mm.
starting. They're like, oh, can I come, and live at your place? I've hosted people that I don't know. I've even hosted a
Wow.
lady who had just given birth. Like, the hubby, her husband was an OB. We went to school together. So they
Mm,
were in between jobs, they were in between jobs, that like lost their house. He was moving to another city. He wasn't sure. So he called my husband. He's like, oh, I'm in between. I don't know. Is there a way you can help? So he came and talked to me. He's like, how can we help these people? I'm like, we have a spare room. Like, they can come
mm.
and live here. They lived with us for a month. The
With
lady
a
had just
newborn
given
baby.
birth. Yes, with a
Wow.
baby newborn. She had just given birth. She
Wow.
came, her and the family, the whole family was living with us, and the whole family were living with us. We
Oh,
were
then.
cooking, we were doing things together. So,
Mm,
sometimes I'm like, huh? And these people help. They didn't pay, they didn't do what. Like later on, they figured out, they moved. They're actually now in Hong Kong, and that's it. We just talk once in a while, once in a while. And this is sometimes like
mm,
you do these things, you're not expecting something, but I think because it's the purpose, helping people, for them to become
mm,
better,
mm.
to be better. They're like, oh, this exists in the world. Like, there are people who are genuine.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sometimes I'm like, but I'm doing this. These guys are not even contributing
Mm,
anything,
mm,
They're not
mm,
buying
yeah.
food. I would actually charge. I think I can charge. I can actually
Yes.
charge. I'm like, you've
I
just
know,
come, I
right?
have a room. I know people do it. I've seen stories where people are like, I have an
Yes,
extra
yes, I
room,
heard
I'm going
about
to
that.
charge you
Apparently in
rent.
America, it's very common.
Yes, in America, it's a
Mm,
thing I can actually charge, and I'm not charging, and
mm,
I'm like, do I really want to do this? But at the end of the day, as you say that, I think like your purpose is like something you're passionate about, like your calling. I
yeah.
think it's like a calling. So if you're
Mm,
doing something that you're in alignment with, yes, those
mm,
thoughts will come in, those struggles will come in where you're like, oh no,
mhm,
maybe I should charge money, I should be doing this.
mhm, mhm,
But
mhm,
then
mhm.
it's something that makes you happy, that you feel fulfilled, you feel
Yeah, yeah,
fulfilled by
yeah. It's
doing
not
it. I
about the
think,
money. Mm, yeah.
yeah, not about the money, because at the end of the day, like, let's say if you have a cup of, let me say, money, if you don't take out
Mm,
money, how is it going to fill back? Because if it's full and then more is
yes,
like, there will be no
that's
space.
true.
Like, you need to take
That's
out
true.
for you to receive more.
Yeah,
So
that's
for me,
true.
what helped me in these things is, I do listen to podcasts.
Mm.
I like listening to, like, okay, no, should I say therapy? What? Not therapists. Like, now something like
Mental
this.
health, like
Yes,
mental health person
yes, mental health, people
sharing their
like who,
stories. Yeah.
yeah, sharing their stories, and you're like, wow, that's beautiful. I want to do
Mm,
that. Even like, to take you back when I was growing up,
mm,
I knew that I want to have kids, and till now, they tell me that I'll be like, I'm going to adopt children. I'm going to take care of
mm,
children who are suffering. And I'll be like,
mm.
no, I think I'm going to open a home where I take care
Orphanage.
of, yes, orphanage. I'm going to open
Mm.
up an orphanage. So that means this has been in me. Like, back then, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
know. Me
the
thinking,
nurturing.
yes,
Yeah,
the
it has always
nurturing,
been.
and
Yeah.
maybe
Mm,
wanting to be helpful, like helping people without expecting
yeah.
anything back.
Mm,
So I
mm-hmm.
think this is something that has been in me, and I'm glad. Okay, I don't have an orphanage. I've not adopted anybody, but
Well, you
in
have
a way,
adopted people
I'm
in a way.
kind
Yeah.
of like, in a
Yeah.
way, I'm
Mhm.
extending it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in one way or
I
the
like
other.
Yeah,
Mm,
I love that. I think, and
yes.
also it wouldn't be wrong, like for people who
Mm,
might be listening and maybe they are charging money for this, if that
yes,
is
it's
what
not
you
wrong.
feel like you know what, putting
Exactly.
in your time, like if that's what you feel like you're supposed to.
Mm,
But in many cases, I think
mm,
that's why I think we get lost. Like for instance, you can charge money
yes,
because, but when you charge money, there is also an expectation from the person who has paid money.
that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
there's an expectation, and then
Mm,
there's this pressure on your end also to over deliver because you're like, oh, this is
yes, to
now a
over
service. Like
deliver.
it's not just
Yes,
helping someone.
yes.
But one thing that
Mm,
I was here, what I'm hearing you say is like you just have. It's, I think it's like a philanthropist. What do they call it? Philanthropist. But
yes, that word, that one.
which
Yeah,
one?
that one.
Philanthropist. You're a
Yes.
philanthropist.
The English is Englishing.
That
Don't ask
one.
me.
I
I'm
live
in
in
China. We don't
Germany.
speak English. Mm.
I'm also in Germany, guys. Don't judge.
I know.
You are
I know.
philanthropist.
Don't we
I think I
listen? We
said it
don't
right. I
judge.
think I said it right.
Yes.
Yes. So
Mm,
you have this thing of helping, and I think
mm.
it's like it's very hard. You know, like how people are told something like you are a person who loves to just cook food. There are those people, like I have an auntie,
Yes.
she will cook
Yeah.
food and she doesn't even eat it, she just watches you eat. And
Yes. She wants
us,
you to
when
eat
we're
food.
looking at her, we're like, this woman
Mm.
is suffering.
I know.
She had this job in
Mm,
Uganda. Actually, I'll give us an example to relate to your story. Like my
mm,
auntie had this job in Uganda where she was working in a guest house, like those nice guest
mm,
house, and the
mm,
bosses would even take her abroad, like not abroad,
mm.
like in the village. Like they knew, they liked
Yeah.
her so much and her skill and how she used to
Mm,
work,
mm,
and they weren't paying
mm,
her that much money. They would
mm-hmm,
take her to the up country to
mm.
like to cook for them as their personal chef, and they would pay her little money.
Wow.
But as her
Yes.
children, all of us were like worried for her. We were just like,
I know.
you could be earning so
They're
much money as a
using her.
personal
I
chef. You would even
know.
be working for the
Mm,
president or something like that.
mm,
The
mm,
money these guys
mm,
are paying, it's not worth it. But this woman,
mm.
for her, she didn't really see what the problem was. She just
Yes,
didn't.
true.
So in the
Mm,
process, she just was really loyal to the people who she was
yes.
working for, despite the money.
Mm.
But I'm telling you, the things these people did to this for this woman,
I know big
like they
things,
would just be there and they're
Mm.
like, "Oh, we have this property that we've acquired. You
Imagine.
can go and stay in it with your children."
Wow.
I visited my aunt a couple of times, and you'd find she has a big house at the top of what's that place called? on Munyonyo, that side, Buziga.
Mm-hmm.
She had
Yes.
she was living on top of the hill, like the topmost hill.
Imagine, I know, that's zone
And
for the rich
because these
people.
guys
Mm.
are rich, they buy property,
Mm.
they tell her, you know what, we haven't yet decided what we're going to do with that property. You
Wow.
go and they'll give it to her for like 5 years, 4 years, 3 years,
Yes.
and she would
Wow.
stay in their houses. And yet,
Yes.
us, we are just seeing how this woman is suffering. But
I
because
know.
of
I
the
know.
kindness of her heart, her children are
Yes.
also like that. Like there are people who
Imagine.
are
Wow.
givers. Now,
Yeah,
eventually,
there are
right
people
now,
who are.
she moved abroad, and even the job
Mm.
that she got to move abroad, it was a
Mm.
recommendation from
Wow.
these people. Like they were like, oh yes,
Mm.
we recommend this person. They are really good.
Wow.
So I
Mm.
think
Mm.
what I think I learned
Mm.
from your story is in many cases, if something comes
Mm.
naturally to you, you don't have to
Yes.
compete with what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
Do it out of your
Yes.
heart and say, I'm doing this because I love what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
maybe if you find yourself you're in a situation where you're like, you know what, I am struggling money wise, I need to
Mm.
make some money off of it, then you do
Mm.
it and earn money, and people will see the difference between your business and the person who is just doing it for
Exactly.
money. Yes. So,
Exactly.
yes.
Mm.
So, what did I want to ask? You've mentioned, like, you've answered all my questions. I wanted to ask the
I know,
challenges that
I
you
know. I
have
even
faced.
wanted to say something, when you were
Yes.
saying about more of a testimony, like, out of this helping, you'll help somebody. And then, let me just mention something small. There's a girl who came from Uganda, she had just come to China. She's trying to figure out, what am I going to do? She didn't even know, like, she came with the wrong documents. You know how people will come, they're like, hey, I'm going to take you to China. This is what they gave her, a visa that which will enable her stay for only 1 month. Yet they are told her, you don't even have to leave. When you have no idea of how a country works. So this girl comes, and then along that time, I needed help. I needed somebody to help me with the kids, to help me with cleaning, because I would not have time for this. So I don't know, like, through connections, we got connected to her. So, we talked to her. I'm like, I want you to come to my place for a week. I'll pay you not a lot of money, but to help me out, doing chores at home, taking care of the children. So she comes and she tells me her story. She's like, I don't even know. Should I get married? Somebody was telling me to get married to a Chinese. Even if I get
Yo.
married now, and by the way, don't
Let
say
me go
she's
to
now
that
married to a
side.
Chinese. By the way, let me, I've even made things right. She's now married to a Chinese. Then later, after the week, she goes back. She was from another city in the village, deep there in the village, like very far. Train was even, is it 8 hours? She used that train, what, 8 hours? So she ends up getting married to a Chinese. Then she calls me again. She's like, oh, I got married to a Chinese, but we are in the village. He's broke, nothing. By the way, guys, be mindful. Okay, let me not spoil somebody from China. Wait, listen. She's like, we are in the village. We are so broke. What? I really want something. I need to come back. I'm like, okay, if I hear of something, I'll let you know.
Connect
We'll
you.
see how to go. Yes. Then what happens is, that was last year. So last year in October, I got some issues. I had to have a surgery. I did have a surgery. So when I was going in for surgery, I'm like, oh, let me call this girl, since she's always looking for jobs. Let me call her to come
To
and
take
help
care of
me
the kids.
out. Yes, to take care of the kids while I'm in hospital, something like. So she comes. She was so excited. She's like, "Oh my God!" As soon as I saw your call, I'm like, "Oh, thank God! At least
Yeah,
I'm
just
able to
waiting.
earn something." I wasn't even paying her much. So now, what happens is she comes. She came like 2 weeks before the surgery. She came 2 weeks before the surgery. Obviously, I had to pay her. So I go into surgery. I go to the hospital. I'm in the hospital for like, 5 days. Now, the day I was coming back, they call her, let me not go into details of the story, but she had issues to do with her visa. Because of the visa she had come with, then she gets married, she had to leave and go back. So, and I was coming back from hospital. I'm like, it's fine. Wait for me to come back. Then you leave. You can leave. So she left. Then 2 weeks later, she calls me. She's like, oh, I've sorted everything, but I feel so bad. I came to help you out, to take care of you. You've been in surgery. You know what? I don't know if it's okay with you, but I'm coming to take care of you. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to do anything. Even transport,
Wow.
I'm transporting myself. I'm coming to
Wow.
take care of you until you're fine. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. She boarded all the way. Now, this time she was even from another city. They had gone to the village. It took her 2 days, 2 days
The
travel.
village
She
of the
traveled for
village.
2 days. The village of the village. China is big. The village of the village. And she was
Yeah.
traveling by train. You have to reach here, change into another train, get into another
Wow.
2 days.
Wow.
She came and she's like, you don't have to pay me anything. You don't have to do anything. I want to
Mm.
take care of you because like I feel I don't know, I don't know, she was feeling she's like, when
Yeah,
I'm
the
with you, I
connection,
feel
yeah.
so encouraged,
Mm.
like you have some. So this girl stayed with me for a month as I was recovering. Then when I recovered, I'm like, how far with the job? So I used to work in the market. I'm like, oh, you know what? I can take you to the market. We can visit, some of the Chinese I'd built relationships with and see if they can offer you a job.
Mm. Mm.
And we go. I met this Chinese who gives her a job. When
Wow.
they gave her the job, half her salary, she went and did shopping. She bought for me things. Is it what? I remember I didn't
Wow.
even have a kettle. These days when you buy like a microwave, those things, you feel so. We are in
Mm.
that age, still, where
Mm.
when you
Mm.
buy like, let's say a fundraiser, where you feel fulfilled.
Yes,
So she
yes.
buys. Yes, she bought me. I remember that time I didn't have my kettle had stopped working, so I just boil water in a saucepan on the gas. She buys me a kettle. She buys things. She buys things for the kids.
Oh,
Like it's like all of her salary she
mm.
spent it on me. She's like, I'm really so happy. You don't know what you've done
Yeah.
to me. I'm not going back to the village. Right now, she's married. She brought her husband
I was
to the
going to say maybe
city.
the poor village guy.
No, the poor guy. She was now because she acquired this job. She tells the
Mm.
husband, you know what? You can come to this city because I live in a business city.
Mm.
My
Mm.
city where I live is a business city. You can come this side. You can get a job in the warehouse or what. The guy
Mm.
came and now they live. She's like, I'm not even going back. I have to be close by. If you need me, call me.
Yeah,
And we
that's
are now
nice.
in touch. We are more family. This is
Mm.
somebody I met here. I didn't know her.
Yeah,
I met
yeah,
her through her
yeah.
coming,
Mm-hmm.
to do some
Mm-hmm.
work. That's how, like, how you said your auntie, like
Yeah,
somebody
yeah,
coming to take care of you. You're in China, you've gone to look for money. And she was like,
yeah,
don't pay me anything.
yeah, yeah.
And indeed, I wanted to give her some. She's like, no, you don't have to pay me. She refused for a month.
And she ended up getting a job.
And she
That's so
ended
she
up getting a job
also got
after,
a blessing out
helping
of
me
it.
out for a month. When she
Yeah.
would be around us like a queen, just wake up, I sit, she
I'm
had
so
made
happy for
breakfast, she's
that. I think I like that. I
yeah.
understand. I
Mm,
understand. I also see sometimes my mom, like when she hears there's someone
mm,
who has come, even in her
mm.
city where she's like the town where she's living, when they know like everyone calls her mommy. Like
Yes.
everyone, like if you
Wow.
are Ugandan, you have to know my mom.
Mm.
If you don't know her, even the people who will meet you say you're from Uganda. Do you know
Yes.
Margaret?
Do
Like
you know?
it's just kind
Wow.
of thing because as soon as she gets to know you're Ugandan, Kenyan,
Mm,
she will bring you to her
mm.
house, cook for you food and do this and do that.
Wow.
And at the end of the day,
Mm.
like you find this person is not paying anything, but it's just that,
Yeah.
you put yourself in that person's shoes and say,
Yes.
what would I want if I came into a place, I don't know anyone? If I
Mm,
met the first Ugandan
mm.
and I met the first African, I would like to be treated really well so that I have a different
Yes.
perspective. And I think to go back to it, like as you talked about purpose, this is
Mm.
it's a ripple effect. Like what you're doing
Yeah.
right now, your kids are watching you, and that's how they're going to treat other
Exactly.
people.
And
And
that's how
you
they
might
would
find
treat other.
one day,
Mm.
yes, you might find one day you're going through something, and your kids, like this time around, it can even be something that is like, this person is there for your children or is watches out
Yes,
for them in a certain way
exactly.
because of what you've done for them.
Mm.
So I like that, and
Yeah.
I think it's something that is very admirable. And to be honest, that doesn't
Mm.
come naturally. It doesn't come
Yeah,
naturally.
yeah,
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 I
it
understand why
doesn't.
you say like
No.
you feel like your purpose is to help people. Like one time I asked my husband, "What's your
Yes.
purpose?" He said, "My husband's purpose is to be an example." Example. What do you mean?
Exactly.
What do you mean?
By the
And
way,
then I
maybe his
realized,
purpose is
like
to be an
later, I
example.
realized, like he's just that kind of
Yes.
person who everyone, like people just meet him and
Will
they're like, "Man, I
yes, will
just want to
refer
be
to
like
him.
this
Mm.
guy." Exactly. Like I want to be like this
By the way,
guy.
that's also a purpose. Yes,
Yes,
purpose
me, I
is
was like,
wide.
purpose, like
Mm.
elaborate, like be. But when I actually later paid attention, I started to realize I was like, okay, this is a kind of person. Every person who sees him, they're like, eh, man, I want to be like this
Yes.
guy. He's
I had to
like
be,
this, he's so organized. Yeah. And that is
Mm.
purpose because all of us have been
Yeah.
put on this earth to do something. I really, really love that. And I've
Yes.
enjoyed this story so much.
I
So
know, I know.
how's
We've enjoyed. We could go on and
I
on,
know,
but
right? I know. So, yeah, I
yes.
just wanted to ask, I think at the end, you've mentioned the
Mm,
challenges, you've mentioned like, as you see,
mm,
like looking ahead, how do you see this purpose
mm,
of yours? Like how do you see it growing of your
mm,
nurturing of people and being helpful to people
mm.
you want it to grow, and how do you want it to grow? And what role
Mm.
do you think platforms like She Center can help in supporting
Mm.
women through this process of discovering and evolving their purpose?
Mm. Yeah, I do. Okay, to answer that, I do see it growing. Like, like as I said, we could go on and on, not
Mm,
just through me. Like, I do see it growing, and I want it to grow. Like, obviously, to start with my children, I want them to be able, to do, and which is something that they're actually doing. Like it's something that they're doing to extend onto other people. And now this is she's sorry, am I saying it right?
She
She's
Center,
century.
yeah.
With women, we are
Mm,
helping each other. So I believe that if I'm able to help another woman, they'll be
mm,
able to help another person, to
yeah.
uplift another
Mm-hmm,
person. They
mm-hmm,
would be able to live through my purpose. You get,
mm-hmm,
like, they would be
mm-hmm.
able to extend the purpose, to grow the purpose
Yes,
through
yes,
what
yes,
I'm
yes.
doing.
To
And
other
also,
people,
like
yeah.
us speaking right now, when you
Mm,
talk of purpose, most times, we've been to school, we are what, most times, like, would look at me. There's a time when, let me speak for myself, I'll be like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be a career woman, doing
mm,
this.
mm,
Oh,
mm,
now, I'm not even doing anything. But you
mm,
look through it, you're like, no, I don't think, that's my
mm,
route. Like sometimes you
mm,
feel down, you
mm.
feel lost, you're like, oh,
Yes,
things are
yeah,
not working
yeah.
out.
Comparing
You
yourself to what other
forgetting.
people are doing, yeah, yeah.
Yes, you're looking at other
Mm.
people, forgetting what you are
What
doing,
makes you
forgetting what
happy?
your purpose is.
Mm,
So I think
mm.
this is also answering, like, your other question of
It
what
is,
this
yeah, it
podcast
is,
could
yeah.
do.
I like
Like,
that. I
us
like that.
having this conversation here. So the
Mm.
other listeners or people who are going to watch, they'll be like, oh, okay.
So
I
you mean
think
what I'm doing is okay?
yes, what I'm doing
Yes.
is okay. It's not
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
like just
yeah.
this. You mean like,
Mm,
so
mm.
this is also something
Yeah,
that
I
would
like
help my
that. Yeah.
purpose to grow through this.
Mm.
And I commend you for the job you're doing. It's a very good
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Like
Yeah.
the different guests that you bring on here, like we get to listen to them and we're like, okay, we learn
Yeah,
something.
it
Sometimes
makes you
you're going
reflect,
through
yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm,
Yes, you
mm-hmm,
reflect, oh, you're relatable, you relate to, oh,
yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this person did this, or maybe like finding out how have they juggled, or how have they been able,
Mm-hmm.
to, like, like if they've been going
To
through something,
navigate,
how are
yeah, to
they able to
navigate their life.
overcome it,
Yes,
or
yes,
what,
yes, that's
yes, in
true.
their
Yeah, and
lives.
that's my
So
goal. Yeah, that's my
yeah, that's
goal.
your goal.
I
So
love, I love what you've explained there in the end, because um,
mm,
it's something I was talking. I have a group of young girls that I lead, and I was talking to them yesterday, telling them how when I
mm,
came here, remember, like after school, you went into
mm,
marriage. Some of us, like me, from
mm,
when I was 13, when my mom came to Germany. I was
mm,
in Germany. Like my mind left Uganda. Remember, even
yes.
when I was at school, I was telling you guys I'm
I
leaving soon.
know. I'm leaving. I know. By the way, I thought you weren't even supposed to
Like,
study in
yeah,
Uganda. You had
the
already
people
left.
who are with me in P7, when they would
Yeah.
meet me in O level, they're
They're like,
like,
you're
"You're
here?
still here?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm leaving next year." Until I
I
was
know.
27, my friend, I was
Yeah,
leaving the country.
imagine.
But what I
Mm,
want to explain about, put jokes aside,
mm,
I spent so much of my time planning
mm.
for this life that I was going to have here. I just
Yes.
felt like my life is beyond Uganda. I don't know why. I just
Mm,
never saw myself living in. Even when I met my
mm.
husband, I told him, as soon as he asked me out, I told him one thing I have to tell you: I'm leaving this country. I am going to Germany.
I know.
My
I can
husband was
imagine.
like,
Okay.
okay, me, I don't plan to leave. I'm like, it's okay.
Wow. Me, I'm leaving.
It's okay. And we continued
Yes.
long distance. I told him, you can come study as well here. He said, rest in. After 2 years, he
Mm,
called me and said, I need to come and study. I've gotten the work experience. Now, me, during that time,
yes.
people were looking for work experience. Me, you know how you're.
Mm,
People are applying for jobs, but me, when people are looking
I
for
know.
jobs, I wanted
Mm,
temporary gigs. I used to work
I
field.
know.
I didn't want full-time job
Yes.
because that would make it seem like now I'm
Would
here
tie you
forever.
down. Yes,
Exactly.
it would
Yes.
tie you down.
I did apply for a couple of them, but for some reason I never got them and I did not really show the interest as much. But I
Yes.
kept doing gigs and doing like business here and there. But
Mm,
I'm driving this point to show you that I felt when I got here and I'm done, now I'm doing
mm,
my master's. I'm 27. I
yes.
started doing my master's at 27. And now when
Mm,
I'm done, like 2020, I'm like, hey,
okay.
People are
I
calling me,
know.
telling you I have a piece of land.
Yo,
Of
don't
land.
even
People are
start. I
like, I
know.
would look at people on the internet and I'm like, Banange,
Where
Resty,
am
what were you
I?
doing? All these
What
years
are
you
you doing?
spent, you could have done work
Yes.
experience. You could have done this and this
Yes.
and this. Now imagine
Ah,
you right now, you could
you do
call
like
someone who has
internal oil. Mm.
turned your helping into a business,
Yes.
and they're
Yes.
helping like agents, or they're, and you look at them and you're like,
Mm.
eh, you mean I could like, but the thing is, what I even told the girls that I lead in the youth group that I
Mm.
told them, it took me until 2020 to sit down and
Mm.
realize that's not like, I don't want working for people.
Yes.
It has
I
never been
know.
my thing.
I
And then
know.
I started
I
realizing,
know.
like, every time I'm working somewhere, I don't really, I'm not
You don't
enjoying it
feel.
if it's long
I know.
term.
By the way,
I
I
had
can
this job
relate
I
to
got
that.
after uni, and
Mm.
I got let go. I would say I got fired, but they
Mm.
let me go. It
Mm.
was not fair, but
Mm.
they had to let me go because of, I asked them for like a raise and all those things, and they were like,
Mm.
yeah. So when I was done, I find that, like, my husband was like, man, I tried applying for jobs. I'm like, but the honest truth is, I don't like
I don't
working for
want.
people. I've
I
never really
know. I
loved this. Like, I
know.
don't like waking up and going.
Yes.
It's not my
And
thing.
going. I
I want to
know. Oh.
create my own. And I had this
Yes.
vision for
Yes.
such a long time. Since, like, from when I was
Mm.
young, I've always felt like I want to help people like my mom,
Mm.
who are single
Mm.
moms, to help young
Mm.
girls who I'm seeing who are struggling at school. Remember, because even me at school, remember at school, like, I got bullied when we were like in
I know.
S5, S6.
Mm.
So I was like, I
Mm.
don't want anyone, even when I would find
Mm.
people telling stories and they're always
Mm.
attacking a specific girl, I would always be like, it's
Mm.
not true. Sometimes you even find the
Yes.
person did the
Yes,
things,
it's
but me,
true.
I would
I
always be
know.
like,
I
it's not
know.
true. Because
Mm.
I was like, I've been that person before who someone
Yes,
is
I've
saying
been
this and
there.
this about, yeah.
Mm.
So I always have that thing of, I want help, but I just don't know how. But then it got to
Mm.
me losing my job for me to sit down and I'm
For
like,
you to and
now
realize.
everything makes sense. And then
I know.
I became content. I stopped, like, these days,
Mm.
you can call me and tell me you've gotten a job in the UN. That was my
And
dream
you'll be
job.
like,
A friend
no,
of mine
I
got
know.
it, by the way, when we finished our masters.
Yes.
And when she
Mm.
called me, I was so happy, because I
Yeah.
remember telling her, I'm going to start this project. She told me, Rusty, this project, not even the UN is doing it. I told her, you know what? Since it's not doing, maybe in the future, instead of me
Mm.
having to call them to help me, they can now come and
Yes.
reach me
They
and
can
tell
now
me, oh,
come to
you're
you.
doing all this work
Mm.
that we appreciate. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what?
That's true.
I had this analogy of, I have heard about this analogy of, if you cannot catch butterflies, plant a garden and the
Mm.
butterflies will come to you.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
I want to help women, but I
Mm.
can't go around walking around like helping. The
I
problems are many.
know.
I just didn't know how.
Mm.
And right now, through this
Mm.
podcast, there even sometimes I'll be there and someone sends me a message and says, Resty, I need you to interview this person, or recommend someone.
Wow.
Oh, this person has
Wow.
been through
That
this
is
and this.
good.
You should interview them.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I'm happy to know that now you're seeing my
Yes,
vision.
they're seeing your vision. I
Exactly.
know.
Like, they
I
are
know.
seeing that
And
this
you're
thing is
happy
not
doing
about
it.
me.
Mm.
I am not about
Mm.
going on social media and becoming an
Mm.
influencer. I
I
don't think I
know.
can handle that. I could have
Yes.
done it if I was
The
in
pressure.
HS, in S6.
Exactly.
I was like at campus. I would have finally
But you
fallen
do
for
it
that
very
call.
well.
Very
You do
well, my friend. I
it
was even an
very well. I
influencer
know.
before influencer.
Eh.
But to be honest, I think I relate to that part of your story, to know that you're
Mm.
content in that you can
Yes.
easily help someone. There's a
Mm.
lady right now, I recently partnered up with her and we went, I think you saw it on my social media, we went to a school, we were talking to women.
Yes,
And
yes, I did. Mm.
I saw myself in her. I was like, you're trying to do something that I wanted to do when I was
I
around your
wanted
age,
to do.
but I didn't have the
Mm.
resources to. So
I
every time she
know.
posts something, I call her and I tell her, you see this, how these influencers are posting this, you should do that,
Wow.
Kathy. And
Yes,
I'm
you
like, me, I
should
can't
do
do
it
that.
like this.
Yeah. I'm like,
Exactly.
I told
I
her, me, I
know.
can't do that stuff.
Mm.
I'm too shy for it. But you need to put
Mm.
content. And she's surprised all the time that I'm helping. I barely knew this girl. We met
Yes.
for the first time when I went to
Imagine.
Uganda.
Mm.
But
Mm.
when I realized, I was like, you know what? This is my happiness. Like, I am happy. I am
Yes.
not. People call me and
Mm.
tell me, Resty, how much they pay on your podcast? Guys, I get nothing.
That's your purpose.
People call me and
I
they're like,
know.
how much do you? And I'm like, guys,
How
I am
much do you?
unemployed, but I
I
am
know.
building a vision. And that
I
vision
am
is to help
building a
women.
vision.
Exactly. And of course,
Exactly.
I'm not
Mm.
just sit here and let my husband take care of me. My
I
vision, of
know.
course, involves eventually making money, but along the way,
Yes.
I need people to see
Along
that
the
this
way.
is what I am doing. And thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
part of that vision,
Mm.
because in this community, for you to for you to give me your time to come on here, share your journey, share your story. Like you could be doing, you could be booking a gig for your
I
child right
know.
now.
Yo, I'm supposed to be. By the way, that's true. I would be
But
cooking
for you
again
to get,
or
for you to give me
sleeping.
that time,
Mm,
it's
mm,
really humbling. And I've gotten so many
mm,
people who have reached out to, and even when I'm sending the message, I'm laughing at myself, and I'm like,
mm.
clearly this person is going to say no. But the person
I
surprised me and
know.
said, yeah, what time? And I'm
Yeah.
like, really? Okay.
Mm,
So I'm glad that it has gotten to that point, and thank you for being a part of this story of She Center,
mm,
because I am
mm,
using this as research to put out there.
mm.
There's something that I'm going to start doing to help women to use the
Wow.
stories.
Mm,
To use the stories of the women that I have had on the podcast to create
mm,
resources for people to be able to
mm,
download. So you don't have to be
mm.
Brenda in China, but me, I've talked to
I
Brenda, and
know.
she's my friend. I get for you the
Yeah.
information Brenda has, and I put it for you in a
Mm,
document, and you just say tick, tick, tick.
wow.
Okay, I'm ready to be a
Yeah.
momfluencer.
I know. I know, by the way. True.
Yes.
I
So
know. Wow,
thank
that's
you so
beautiful.
much. Thank you so much
Mm,
for making the time. I really appreciate the catch up. I feel like we've really caught
mm.
up a lot. We could have talked forever.
Yeah.
Remember our judges back
Forever.
in the
I
day?
know. We can talk till tomorrow, you know.
Yes. Thank
We
you
can
so
talk
much
till
for your
tomorrow.
time. I really
Yes, I
appreciate that. And
know.
I really can't wait to see how big of a vision
Mm.
your purpose stands out to be. And
Yes.
thank
True,
you
true,
for
true.
expanding my
Mm,
idea of purpose, because I
mm.
do understand that there are moms who are called to be moms and just stay at
Yeah.
home and take care of their
And
children.
yeah, that's
And
true.
I always
Mm.
tell people, you never know, you might be raising the next Bill Gates, you might be
Yeah.
raising the
Yes,
next
that's true.
president, you might be raising
President.
the next
Yes.
doctor who is going to heal lives. So
Mm.
if you feel called to stay at home and do it,
Then
don't
do
look at
it
other moms out
at
there who
other.
are living it
Yes.
all and doing everything, and
Mm.
and you feel jealous, because that might be their calling, but your calling
I
is
know
to
it's different. Mm. To
connect with
raise
your
your
children.
kids, you know.
Exactly.
Mm.
And
The
I
next
think your
president.
kids also enjoy spending time with you, because doing these movies,
Yeah.
like that must be an adventure, traveling with your children over like
Yeah, it
different places.
is.
Moreover,
Like
you're
I
not
get to
paying for
travel
the travel.
because I get to travel because of them. They're
Yes.
helping me
The one they
travel.
tell you, mommy,
Yes.
we paid for your whole
I
adulthood.
know, yo. Even now they tell me they're like, oh, if we're not working, mommy is broke.
I love that. I love that. Okay, I have one last question, which I
Mm,
think just came to my
yes.
head. How
Mm,
do you put that balance between knowing, okay, we have to make money with my kids? I know you said it, you alluded to it earlier, but before we conclude, maybe you
mm,
can talk
mm,
about it. Like, do you feel that, like, that consciousness where you reach and you say, okay, I'm
mm,
prioritizing my child right now. I'm seeing them in
mm,
this maybe movie or something. I don't like
mm.
what the story is about, or like how are you those kinds of moms who are like, no, 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 I don't like this. Get off the set. I'm not going to do this. How do you manage those situations where you're like,
By
okay,
the way.
this time around, I'm prioritizing my child, and
My
I'm not
child.
letting you,
Mm,
because I know people, I don't post my child on social media for personal
mm.
reasons, but there are many people who I've
Yes.
seen who are posting their children on social media,
Mm,
and you
mm.
find those pictures are circulating everywhere in the
I
world,
know.
and
Mm,
you
mm,
find
mm.
many people, like, there's a way they are saying, like, there's that thing that it takes away from your child when people are like, no,
Yes.
they're in the, like, they have grown up in front of,
In front of the
uh,
camera.
in front of the camera. So
Yes.
I heard that that
Yes.
can also affect your child. So do you
Yeah, that
prioritize
is true.
their mental health? How do you, because
Yes.
there might be a mom out there
Mm.
who is doing this who might want to know, how are you
Yes, there
handling
are
this?
moms
Yeah.
out there. Now, for
Yeah.
me, like I think I mentioned this before. There was a time where I was work, 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 work. We are going to work. We even
Yes,
pull them
yes,
out. Now,
yes.
right now, they are back to school because they kept complaining. They're like, oh, we have to make friends. We have to do what? And also, I think because I'm with them, we like have a relationship where they are free to talk to me. I also listen to them, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, like, yes, what you've said is yes, I do prioritize them as being children because I've done my research. I've seen these children who have grown out, in front of the camera and what
Yeah.
they've turned up to be or how it has affected them. There are times when we've gone. There's a time we went for a movie. I fought with the directors. There was a scene, I think it was my son. There was a scene that they wanted him to do. And he came to me, he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Is it they want me to step it? It was something complicated. I went fighting. I'm like, my son is not going to do this. He's not okay doing this. Like, like, and it's something that they just brought in last minute. That's how sometimes these things, work. And I went fighting, I complained. I'm like, he's not going to shoot this. You either find somebody else, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
scrap out the scene. Like, he knows, I need to stand up for him.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
this whole working, because, part of me is being a mother. I know their children. I want them to enjoy their childhood. It's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
about work and making money. Also, to point this out, some people will be like, oh, she's using her kids for money. By the way, it's not the only thing I do. I charge for I do charge people who want me to buy them goods in China.
Yeah.
I kind of work like an agent. I have people who
Yeah.
call me,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
You
me look
mentioned
for
that. You
this. So
mentioned that. You have other
yes, I
sources of
mentioned that.
income.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have other sources of income. So this is not my only source of income, but this is something, because with this, I also see it like as something with them. They get to know that experience. This could
Yes.
help them
Yes.
in the future. They also get to meet other people. They get to put themselves in other situations. Maybe now I'm a doctor. They get to know, oh, this is how,
Yeah. Yeah.
doctors
Yeah.
are. Oh, now I'm in, I'm in this, I'm doing this. I need to get
Yeah.
into this character. So it's something that I don't really put them into it. Like, there are jobs that we do turn down. I speak to them. Like, they came to me, they're like, Mommy, if we have a job, first talk to us about it. So when I
Wow.
get a job, or when an agent reaches out to me, I'm like, oh, Liam, there's this job. Are you okay? What are we shooting? Are we shooting clothes? Because they also do adverts. Like, hey, there are clothes. Okay, we can go. And sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, I'm tired. I'm like, it's fine. Like, you don't have to. Then obviously there are some times where I'm like, let's go for that job. It will be fun. We are traveling to another city.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's just toys. You're going to just be playing, playing with the toys, because you're
Yeah. Yeah.
advertising. So I do have, like, I think, because it's part of my purpose is being their mom, like helping them, to become
Yeah.
their better versions of themselves. So I feel like
Yes.
if I keep pushing them, they'll
Yeah.
hate it, or they will
Yeah.
have this outburst that
Yeah,
may
you
not
need to
be
have
good.
that like that you have that
That
you know them,
balance.
so like, okay,
Yes,
this one is just being lazy today. I can push a little,
I
but other times
know.
you're like, I know you're tired. Yeah, I
I
love
know
that.
you're
I
tired.
love that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Brenda. This has been an
I know.
amazing
Thank you
conversation.
too.
I know that so many people are going to see themselves in your story. It might not be someone who is a manager, but it might be someone who is at
Yeah.
home and their goal is to
Yes.
take care of their children,
Of
and
their
right now they can see
children.
that there's not as long as you have, like, financially, you're not struggling, like you just stayed at home and your husband is the one who's doing
Yes.
everything and you're struggling. If everything is okay that way, you can make some money and spend time with your children. I think for me, like,
Yeah,
that is
it's
like a
it's the
dream.
best for me. Like,
Exactly.
it's the best.
And
Right
by the
now,
way,
me too. You
not
said
everyone
UN.
can
I
do
can't
this.
go for a job.
Yes, exactly. Like, I don't also, what I wanted to say is, like, I don't think everyone can handle that. Like, I don't think there are many people who
No,
can handle being with their
no.
children all the time. So it really has to be your calling, because
Stressing. It's
you're
draining.
trying to run away
It's
from them at
draining.
home. Like, now I have to
Ha,
spend
I
the
also
whole
have
day.
those moments. I think all mothers have those moments. You're like,
Yes,
you're
yes.
making so much noise. What headache?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
No, definitely. That is your calling. So thank you
Okay.
so much. I really
Yeah.
appreciate.
Thank you
And
too.
yes, guys, thank you so much for listening. I rarely do this at the end, but I feel like I need to do this. I thank you
Wow.
so much for listening. And Brenda has been an amazing guest. We've had so much fun. It's so much excitement here. I know you guys are going to enjoy the episode. So, yes, thank you for listening. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is She Center, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless.